cannot tell your neighbor he is stealing ducks.
First of all, I think your analysis was very straight line. History doesn't run in a straight line.
Kid, you cannot tell your neighbor he is stealing ducks when you are stealing funds.
As High Commissioner, I was wrong. As Charandas Prasad, I reacted naturally how any person would have.
I did not come here for that kind of abuse. I did not come here for that kind of abuse. If you're going to go down that road, I'll walk off.
But it's all okay once they're talking. If they were talking, I could not have been here today.
You got ADHD.
I got that.
Calm down.
I think I've done enough in terms of taking our team out of trouble from losing.
Come on, Lou Taylor. That's good.
I'm reading the script now, and the first person that comes to my mind to play a detective, but an erratic detective is Mikhail Rodriguez.
Why you not freaking slapping in young? Why a man and slap a woman? Look, girl, how you deal with that? You deal with that.
We must encourage platforms like this because it brings together different people and allows for discussions to take place in our country on a multiplicity of fundamental issues.
You apologizing for something you think I did is wrong. I don't want you to do that, and you should not have done that. Hi there, pleasant Monday evening to you from Georgetown, Guyana. Wherever you are, good evening, good night, good morning, good afternoon. This is the Freddie Kissoon Show, and we have with us this evening the head of one of the most controversial institutions in Guyana, the Georgetown City Council. Before we get to him, I'd like to let you know our normal co-host is Leonard Craig. The man in the hot seat, not in the studio, but in Georgetown, is His Worship the Mayor, Alfred Mentor. So we would like to welcome His Worship the Mayor, and we have so many questions and he has so many reactions that I doubt whether we'll get in the hour. So let's start right away. First, the protocol. Welcome again for the fourth time to this program.
Pleasure.
I don't think you've ever been interviewed by co-host Leonard Quay. Now, Mr. Mayor, I cannot forget it. I was on the seawall with my dog and I picked up the phone and I heard you said something, and then I picked up the phone and called you and said, are you serious? Is that true? And when you confirmed it, I wrote a column about it that about 50% of building owners do not pay rates and tax. Now, here is something that the diaspora is in awe of whenever they visit Guyana, and they visit in Guyana all the time. I go to the seawall with my dog, and you won't believe the amount of Guyanese living abroad that are visiting back. When they come here, they tell you, this is not the Guyana I know. They are 5-story, 7-story, 8-story building, huge building all over. You name a street in Campbellville, Queenstown, Kitty. You name an obscure street that nobody knew about. You drive through that street. You will see some humongous buildings all over Middleton Street. Everywhere you go, these buildings are. So you are telling me, Mr. Mayor, that you are hemorrhaging billions of dollars from these buildings by they not paying taxes?
Oh, yes. Thank you again, Freddie.
It's a surreal.
Thank you again, Freddie and team, for having me. I'm really and truly happy again for being here.
You got a figure of how much you're losing from these people not paying?
I've just had a meeting, a finance meeting, that's one of the reasons why I couldn't come earlier, to determine all of that and to get a precise amount, which I will eventually share with you and other members of the media. But you're right. A few years ago when I was deputy mayor, you asked that question, and I never forgot the word you said. You said, Mentor, with all them buildings that's going on and going up in the city, you and the council should be awash with money. That's the word you use, and I never forgot that word. It stood with me then, and it still now. And I have been working steadfastly with the council to find workable solutions and measures so that how we could get those monies in, even from a point of through the engineers department, through the treasurer's department, and having those building plans coming. Because one of the reasons why these things actually happen is persons who eventually build these big high skyscrapers, so to speak, are supposed to submit back their building plans or when they're about to have occupancy. And for that, based on that occupancy, they're supposed to provide new rating valuations to allow for that to happen. Not everyone does it, but it's supposed to be something that is compliant with the engineers department. And that has not been happening in the way in which it's supposed to happen. So we have a lot of persons who are escaping the trap or escaping this requirement to have those rating valuations. Only recently I would have asked at this our statutory meeting to coordinate a meeting with the evaluation division so that we could treat with these matters, because like you've said, the 55% of the person that are paying, there's some government agencies, some businesses, and the majority of those persons are ordinary residential payers, ordinary pensioners, ordinary persons who come and line up like you, because I see you're one of those persons who's come and pay your obligation to the council, and they come and pay. But for the 5% of the people, which are those major significant businesses, or the 45 percentile of those persons, are not honoring their obligations. So we are working with trying to work with the evaluation division, work with other requirements through our licensing, either by public health reasons or for businesses having to have certain things in place. We are working to be able to tie that and tie those licenses to this, and to cause those people to go and get their valuation for rating purposes and be able to honor their obligation, their true obligation, because many of those persons are paying the same old rate because the property are still happen to be in their name, but the rates and taxes is not in their name. It's in the old name, and they're paying the old rates. Either those rates sometimes are residential, some of those rates might have been commercial, but for a one-story or a property or two-story property, now it's 7 and 8 stories, and we are not getting our fair share as a council so that we can provide the necessary services to the people and the citizens of Georgetown.
Leonard?
I heard and I read in the news recently, about 2-3 weeks ago, that the council wanted to change some law to raise taxes, and the government said they will not support anything that will result in the raising of taxes to citizens. Can you explain what that's about?
I had to clarify that as well, because, like I said, we were working to improve measures. Like I said earlier, the measures were being able to get all those persons who would have changed their properties from residential or whatever it was before to commercial. Our laws also provide within the statute for hotels, apartments, warehouses, supermarkets, and a whole host of other things, businesses, to be able to deal with those, to be compliant. We have been working within those laws to cause those persons to have their properties revalued. We have no intention, and we've never had any intention from way back, even when the first Minister of Local Government was there, I think Mr. Damlal. He came to us. One of the things he said when the current government came to power in 2020, he met with us in 2021, and he suggested the issue of in their manifesto that they don't believe in increasing of rates and taxes, which is not really a responsibility of the government. It's a responsibility of the various municipalities. They are the ones who have to present that case and so on. And we did agree when he came to us, and we said that we agree that we have no interest in dealing with that. What he did indicate is that the 50% of the people, which is come back to just we used to be saying, the 50% of the people that have been paying, if you increase rates and taxes on those persons, is the same 50% you put in a burden on. So it's very onerous on those persons. So he's indicated to us, which is he has been a very workable minister, a person that understood the job, and said that you guys find ways and means of how you're going to bring those 50 out of 50% up to speed. Move to maybe 65, move to about 70, move to 85, whatever it is. And as long as you find measures and ways and means of how to treat with those issues and cause those persons to pay, and whatever you have to do to deal with those issues, treat with it. When you reach to a certain level, then we could probably talk about an increase in rates. So we never raised back that issue. The meeting that you heard of that, or where it ended up reaching in the media, is based on the issues of the 45% of the people that are not paying. All of these new buildings, new apartments, new whatever it may be. So we've been working to be able to find ways to get those people to the table, to talk, to find solutions, to figure out what kind of a concession we could give. We believe, just like central government, who can give concessions to the big businesses, the oil businesses, and all these different persons, the city council has a mandate under Article 75 to be able to treat with its citizens, to be an autonomous body making decisions to help.
You're speaking about 2801.
No, Article 75 of the Constitution.
Okay.
States clearly that decisions of the councils are binding. Decisions of the council happen to be autonomous, and decisions of the council is one that is binding on the various agencies that it concern, and we have to find workable solutions for our people to be able to. So we, just like central government, could do things to incentivize its citizens, incentivize businesses, and to find ways to get people to honor their obligations. And that is what we have been doing. And we have, based on that 45 percentile that are not honoring their obligations, we were working with them to be able to find solutions so that we could look at what is the demand, what is the interest, how we could treat with the interest, and how we could allow for you to pay a demand so you could come under the umbrella and to become a tax compliant person. And it's something that we may also have to do, that we're trying to work with you. The law, like itself, it's basically silent as it relates to what the framers them say about interest. But obviously, if the law is silent, no framer at the time would have thought that people would not have honored their obligations. It was done in good faith for persons to do what they're supposed to do. It didn't turn out to be so. Many persons have not paid their demand, and now they end up with interest along the way. And it's for the council, the sitting council, to be able to find ways and means on how we could treat with those issues. So we have been doing that, and we've sought to get that done, not sought to have no revaluation of the entire city. It's a case where we wanted to have a meeting with the finance minister, who will then instruct the valuation chief and his team to be able to reach with us so that we could address or put some measures or some urgency on those persons that are not valuation compliant, so they could be compliant with paying their taxes to the city.
So let me just clarify something for the viewers. When you refer to revaluation of property, you are referring to those people who had residential property and they convert it into a large commercial property.
Or even a multi-complex of residential and commercial.
Right.
Yes.
Or something to that effect.
Yeah.
That is the revaluation.
That
and
is,
not revaluing the entire city for the purpose of increasing taxes.
But if that is so, you didn't really go on a PR campaign to explain that.
No,
I think the average
right, because the average person
thought that they were
thinks you want to.
No, I did.
This is the age of social media.
No, but
this is the
I
age
did.
of...
No, I did. When it was, I think it was mentioned by the Honorable Vice President, because he's the one who first stated it, and then the other media carried it. I went and I clarified it in a press conference just after he said that, and he also responded that I see mentor backtracked on something of the sort. He said that. I like I said, we did clarify it, and we did put that situation to rest.
But I hope you see how it could easily be misinterpreted.
So you think your PR was sufficient?
You see, let me be honest with you. We have PR section of the council. I am currently working on having a PR consultant related to total PR. What has to happen a lot of times is that I as the mayor, along with members of other staff that I have to be able to frame that PR perspective rather than having a PR department who take that in concert and fix it. So that is a challenge, and I'm about to have a PR consultant hired to treat with matters of this nature.
Look, Mr. Jack Dio has a weekly press conference. The AFC has a weekly press conference. They are government aligned, opposition aligned, independent social media platforms. That is the way to go. Why don't you have a social media program, which is either twice a week or once a week, and you are explaining to people, you are clearing up cobwebs. I believe a majority of people believe that the city council was raising rates and tax. What you have enunciated here is a completely different portrait. That needed to be saturated in the society, because the lady in Albistown was paying 12,000, she think it gone up. I live in Turkine, next to CARICOM. Area Q Turkine. When I moved in there were about 20 buildings. Now there are about 60 buildings there. Really petty bourgeois buildings, real resplendent buildings. And are you telling me those 60 odd buildings that I see go up in my area, one of them now, all of them are being rented by all people? You want to tell me those people aren't paying their rates and taxes?
Well, many of them might not be paying the right amount. As a matter of fact, as you've said there, rental income property is a commercial business, and ideally, even though people are living in it from a residential perspective, it has commercial connotations, and again, outside of the 5 and 10 and how much stories and the different commercial enterprises from supermarket to this and that, those people are not honoring level, but like you said, all those rental related issues or apartments fall within the laws and how it should be treated by the department.
So this compliance is voluntary. How do you know? Because if it's residential and it's rented residential, it becomes I see some difficulty there. If it's a multi-tenant place, I would understand that.
But and if hundreds of them have been going up around the city,
right? I would understand that. But if I have my own house, and then I decide, okay, my mother's getting up in age, let me go and live with her, take care of her, but I left my house empty and I just rent it out. I don't see that should.
But you would have to pay some kind of tax to the GRA, I guess, based on that kind of arrangement. But we can't even reach to the point of addressing those.
Okay.
It will take us some time to address those, because remember, we have the real deals to deal with.
The 7-level,
with the 7-level, fire level, Houston Estate, where all those properties have been there. All the other aspects of from Caneview Avenue, where all those other properties going to be, which fall in Georgetown, all those properties has to be dealt with. So our hands will be totally filled dealing with those matters.
Right.
I mean,
the small thing about a man,
getting to you who rent out your house and so on and so on. And the apartments, which we see as a multi-complex building, we will address those. So we have our work cut out for us, and ideally what we've been trying to do is just have a meeting of the minds with the finance minister to coordinate that meeting with the valuation division, to cause the valuation division to do their work in collaboration with us, because our various departments from public health, because these people need to get public health licenses for something, some other license for some other thing to operate.
Fire
and they need to get, as a matter of fact, the banks, which has been very helpful.
Yeah.
We have a relationship with those people who borrow. So the bank tell them, go and get your valuation done, go and get your this done, because we are not going to comply with this unless you put this in place. You must be a tax and it's outside of the bank. I think we will have to work with those people, even though some of it, like you said, you mentioned the word voluntary, that they're supposed to go and get the self-compliant. We will force, based on the other measures that we have, to be able to get them compliant. And I think there's another measure I've been looking at, where you have this call it some credit bureau in Guyana now.
Yeah.
Right?
On New Market Street.
So we'll be working with, I've already reached out to them by letter, and we'll be setting up a meeting and so on. So those persons will have to, because it will affect
their credit
ratings. So there's many ways to skin something up and to find
What about the courts?
The courts is the last lap in this. Like I said, and if I would want to speak on this particular subject, recently we had some discussions as to try and resolve a number of tax related issues. We've tried to work to incentivize and reach out to persons to come to the table and to come and have talks with us, and so we could find a resolution. But I think we've had a little back and forth with I think recently the Minister of Local Government would have written to us and say that it's unlawful or something under some section 146 to deal with persons and to because the law it speak of the minister may make regulations and not shall. That falls within the ambit of the council, and so we're having a little haggle about that particular issue of this as we speak. I'm about to respond to her on this position that she has taken, and I'm saying that while we'll be working to find resolutions either through the courts or through talks, we will then the other option, as you spoke about, the law provides for us to foreclose on these people's properties through pirate execution. We don't want to get involved in those kind of things, but what we may just have to do, based on all of this kind of a situation, is that, and that's one of the reasons why we had a finance meeting today, is to discuss that position of the minister, but also discuss the position of all the people who was. We'll start from the highest. The highest among the other amounts, and then we'll be moving to treat with it, which we'll have budget discussions on those matters, and we'll then determine what we may plan to do and how we look at these issues and how we could sort those kind of matters out. Because if the law doesn't provide under 146, wherever, for us to find a workable solution with the people, but the law provides for you to do what we want to do with these people. We are not interested in selling nobody property. We want to find ways and means of how we could work, how we could give you a chance, how we could do this. But is it that the minister wants to cause us to block that, we'll have to move to the other extremes of pirate execution, if that is the only remedy available to us under the laws.
Something I want to clear up, and I wish we could, in a definitive way, clear it up now. The landscape of Guyana, not Georgetown, but we're speaking about Georgetown. The landscape of Georgetown has changed so prodigiously that no one living in the 70s or 80s recognizes this place anymore. Every street you go through, there are huge buildings there. We're losing those little two-story thing that I grew up with, you grew up with. Now, are these people paying a small amount of rates or taxes, these 7 level, or they're just not paying nothing? Is it they're paying a little pittance? Or
some of them are paying what was usually the tax that the place was assessed for when they acquired it. And some of them, even though it was assessed for that, they're still not paying it. And like I said, I will be providing all of that information and evidence.
But these are not ordinary people like us.
No.
These are very well people from the buildings you see going up.
Exactly my point. And it's unconscionable for the ordinary man, the man, the pensioner who can like any little money.
Like me. I don't work.
I want to see you as a pensioner.
I don't work nowhere else.
But ordinary man.
I don't get paid for this program. I don't get paid for my Chronicle columns. Who
come and join the line and pay the money and find ways to honor that. But the big man who millions and millions who's supposed to pay his taxes are not paying it. And we will have no choice but to have to publish those persons.
Well, I'm coming to that.
And let us let the chips fall where they may.
You see, the viewers are watching you. You said, not you, the city council, in a press release weeks ago, months ago, years ago, we will publish the name of these defaulters. You need to have a social media program in which you and the town clerk every week sit down and speak to the people and have your video showing you this 7-level building owned by Maxwell Singh or owned by Suzanne Jones.
Yes.
And we have not received a cent. And I'll tell you how effective it is. You people looking at the program and you have this video and you say to the viewers, look,
I'm making notes.
We're going to show you 10 videos of buildings that each one of them costs about 100 million at building cost today. Viewers, I am the mayor. Next to me is this town clerk. We have access to the accounts documents. These 10 buildings we're showing you here have never paid taxes since they went up. And you will see how effective that is social media. I go on the Seawall every afternoon. Everybody in Seawall. You see nobody with a newspaper. You should see how popular these programs are. Go after these people.
I have a gentleman there who's part of the council's communication team, and that particular department. He is now working on something. He should have done it a long time, but he proposed it to me. He said, "Man, mentor, mayor, they used to have some program." He came up with a name, but I said no. I said we had something named the Mayor and You, or City Council and You.
You got a more innovative name. This time. That's a long time ago, the Mayor and You.
But he come up with some name. I got it in my phone. And he said, let us look at this and let us find a way to engage this different person. Also, it was also suggested that we could do some TikTok. Got TikTok.
Do a nice social media program.
You know what I mean?
2 minutes or less.
Yeah.
I got some questions to ask you and about garbage collection. 2 things. I live in South, and I used to be able to put out a drum, and occasionally you get some overrun and you put it in a bag on top of the drum or a box on top of the drum, and they used to come and collect all of that. And then recently I find that the bag on top of the drum, they take it off and leave it, and then they empty the drum. And I was so incensed, and I didn't get you on the phone. and I was calling my counselor from my area, and I didn't get them, and I just called the company that does the collection, which is Sevon's. And Sevon said that the arrangement they have with you is to collect 1 barrel per residence and not to collect curb waste, which if you put it in a bag is curb waste. So I asked the guy who identified himself as a manager and so on. So I asked the guy, I said...
So if you put it in the bin.
So I said, if all I can afford in my family is these big garbage bags, and I put that garbage bag out, why you're not collecting it? He said, this is the arrangement we have with the city council. 1 bin in a drum.
It can't be 1 bin. You can have whatever bins you have.
Or whatever bins. All right. So I asked him
2 or 3 bins.
Yeah, because I asked him that question. If I put out 2 or 3 drums, if you're gonna pick it up, he said yes. But your garbage got to be in the drum. And the overflow, we can't pick it up. It's curb garbage, and some other agency will come and pick that up.
Well, that doesn't happen to us in Turkine, where I live. They pick up the bag, those big plastic
But you live in a bourgeois community. I don't. but I'm telling you my experience, and I did call Sevon's, and that is what they're telling us. Please clarify what contract you have with.
Like I said, we have. You're right about the issue concerning the curbside, or the, what do we call it? I can't remember the name of this time. But there's an arrangement where they've been picking it up in good faith with us. But ideally, what we would have in place is that while they pick up those other things, we have an arrangement where we do a sweep, which is our department, do a sweep of the various areas to do that. But what I think Sevon has been doing from the start, from the inception, is picking it up. I think because we have called them out for within the last few months of lack of delivery of their work and not performing the way they should. I guess that they probably got a little bit.
They apply the letter of the law.
Yeah, exactly. All right, because we call them out over Christmas time, over whatever time for not delivering, and we also have to penalize them because we can't be paying you to pick up at this day if it's Tuesday.
Yeah,
we paying you every week to pick up. That's a job or a contract that you have with us to pick up this garbage at this time. Even if we have a 24-hour miss because of some reason or the other, we could understand.
Yeah.
But you're picking this thing up till almost the next week.
Yeah.
And getting paid for this week. So you're picking up 2 sets of
in
garbage in
2
weeks. Well, and one get paid for every week.
Right.
So I had a major challenge with that. So I said, man, this cannot be working. We are paying you. We hire you to do a contract to pick up this garbage at this time. And for you to do so, you picking it up this week till the end of the week, till the next week, and pick up 2 times, pick up 1 time for garbage for two clearance that you're supposed to have.
It happened to us,
and then you come into us for your check,
right?
In the same fashion, that cannot work. So we are about to review. We are at the point of reviewing these contracts, because I think it was extended for a year. Now we also got to look at it, and based on also these performances that we've had. And that we'll be looking to address it, but we will strengthen up those contracts to have systems in place for pick up at this time. And if you don't pick up 24 hours after, we will have somebody pick it up. So we'll have a secondary person deal with those issues, and then you move to the following week. If you understand what I'm saying, so that you do not get paid, right? Because you and everybody and all these different persons don't say. They don't blame the contractor. They blame the mayor and the councillors.
How do you know? Do you have a department that's monitoring when garbage is picked up in the various
That's one of the reasons why I can tell you that. Because we have compliance officers for each contractor. That is mayor, city council, and for each constituency or area that they're supposed to do. So you have somebody who check that, who also send that information to the general WhatsApp group that we created all of those things because of all of these challenges so that we could record these things on these infractions.
Does City Council have a hotline, WhatsApp group or something where I can report either violation or anything that
yes,
is there such a thing?
We have a WhatsApp hotline thing. I will share that information.
All right.
You seem to be engaging in self-flagellation or self-erasure or alternatively altruism in politics. I've studied politics all my life and I don't see altruism in politics. Now, the GRA has no altruism and the GRA does not engage in self-flagellation. The GRA goes after people for any little money they owe. The GRA hassles people on the wharf all the time. Why you want? You said, "Ma'am, we don't want to seize people property. We want." You got more than 1,000 buildings in Georgetown.
You the big stick.
I cannot. I would never work for that money to build such a building if I worked for 50 years at
all your life, man.
Right. Yeah. And you're telling me this when I look at these buildings, when I look at common sense can tell you how much a building costs, man, when you're educated, right? Yeah. When you look at these buildings, and then you hear the mayor saying, man, we don't want to we don't want...
It's not me, it's me and a council.
You're getting bad name. You're getting bad name every day from the citizenry of Georgetown. Go and collect your money.
All right. Well, like I said, we have been given different graces. We have exercised... Well, we're trying to...
You're refusing to publish the people's name. Right. You keep saying that all the time.
We work to exercise measures to give people a chance to not think. And that's one of the things we've done recently here, to open the door, to have these conversations and to work these solutions.
I heard you said that 2 years ago when you were on this program. 2 years ago. We did that. Put him a finger for viewers.
We are also working towards so that we'll have a smaller list to be able to deal with. But we're getting to the point here where now the central government wants to block that. So if they want to block that, I will have to use the other measures of the law to deal with what we have to do. And I'm saying if is it that we have to do that. And I somebody proposed to me some time ago and said, mentor, this thing with these people, when the law provides for you to have power to execution or to sell or to liquidate or whatever, you don't have to literally process these things. You just have to talk to us about these accounts and put up all these accounts, and they can buy the accounts out. No.
That's if our law allows. I know but America allows that.
That's right, but I'm saying,
but I don't think Guyana.
So I will have to explore within our laws to see if that's possible. So we could get free money up front, and they said they will pursue the matters through the courts as long as they have the authority. We give them the authority to do that, and they do that.
Forms
and so that they could get whatever they got, but they will pay us those monies that we want to have, demand plus whatever aspects of the interest, a whole package. So we give them a lump sum or a block, they buy it, and the people move it. So I'll be exploring those issues with our attorneys to figure out those options. Again, it's not the ideal thing to do. It's not the
You're best gone again with
it's not the ideal thing to do in relation to these matters, but here what happened, we are left with no choice. But to have to treat
my second question on the garbage issue. Georgetown has some narrow streets. And then when you're driving in some of the streets, these guys picking up garbage, and they got the truck in the middle of the street, and you got to drive slow behind them, and sometimes it's a long
street. But there's
the
nothing to be done. We all encounter that. The streets are just too narrow.
Man, they just got pull the other day. I'm telling you,
some of them.
Yesterday or day before, I was going through Princess Street. Look, the length of Princess Street with no street to turn out.
I dropped in Princess Street yesterday and I couldn't turn. The street is too narrow.
The point I'm making is this: there are places in some of the streets where the truck just got to pull in the corner.
No, you're exaggerating.
No, I am
not. You live in Georgetown. every parapet, people put big blocks.
No, which is what I'm coming to, which is the next question I'm
police,
coming to.
How the police force and the Ministry of Home Affairs could tolerate big blocks on parapet?
No, that is a city council thing, man.
You chasing gunmen in a car or a fire. You can't drive on the parapet and cut them off. Every parapet got big boulders. You can't park. This thing is a cancer now in Georgetown.
Which is the next question I'm coming to. Isn't it illegal to encumber
the town clerk said
parapet?
It is.
Why does the council allow it so wantonly? People just come with a big load of sand. The sand gone half on the street.
No, don't go there. Go to where people
and
have
those boulders
parapets,
that he's talking about. Why does the council not treat
I
those
saw
things?
some parapets with big boulders in which no car, they have no driveway.
Yeah, some of the people have no driveway.
They just they got one in East Street. Right now in East Street, a little 2B2 house like where I was born into. Not even a motorbike could go through the gate, and they got big boulders. The town clock sat right where you sitting. If when you leave, this studio is in Leluni Street. At the corner of Leluni and Peter Rose Street, a house took up the whole parapet by putting a garden there. And right next to it is a school right in the corner. So when you go to pick up your kids, you can't even park on the parapet.
Should have a garden.
This parapet thing has become a cancer now.
A garden with picket fence or something, or just a garden?
A garden with huge trees on it.
What the city
town
council
clerk
has
town clerk came here and
the engineers department has responsibility for dealing with that because the parapets itself shouldn't be encumbered.
Is the engineer? I don't know who's the engineer. Is that person competent with that? That person has to be labeled as
No. You can't. Don't say that.
Why?
That person is going to encounter very, very powerful people. Now, from the time he drive up his car and say, "What's on this parapet?" Ding, 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 ding. A man from city council.
No, but we got
next thing you know, officer come to the council. Look, we got a call that you're molesting, Mr.
Freddie. We have as citizens of Georgetown have to see them trying. What notice have you sent out? What?
Well, you never really.
You know it's power. You know what is power. You study economics.
You're not really supposed to even send notices because as long as you uncovered it, what we could do is to have a campaign. We could advertise it if we say, or don't have to advertise it, and we could just move.
What about these derelict vehicles? People just park vehicle and a tree growing out to the vehicle and all that.
That also has. Yeah, it also has some laws. That one has notices. You have to send them notice, let them know wherever. I think somewhere along the line you need to advertise it somewhere thereabout, and give them a certain amount of time to do it because it has certain other connotations to it. I think the engineer did say that to me. But we can move those and to take them to a place that we have in Princess Street. So and we've been doing that as well, but not as frequent as we should.
Don't pick on the derelict vehicles. Pick on these multi-billion-dollar embellishment on the parapet. How the police force and the fire service haven't got rid of those things. But time is going.
So all them brick and so on.
Man, you should go up this, Mr. Mayor.
I'm gonna drive up.
Go east at Peter Rose and the Looney Street, right to the street, and you should see a whole stretch of parapet, a huge jungle on the parapet. People can secrete themselves there and rob you. Anyway, Mr. Mayor, something we want to touch on. I see you have a file here. In this file, I'm asking you now, you have documentary evidence, proof, what we call in common parlance, papel paper, that you own that, city council own that property in home church of
in Carafest
Avenue,
where the hotel is going
Yes,
up.
but I've done
definitively. You could say that city council property.
Definitively, we have done this research that we have done on the Carafest Avenue property. Isn't started when I became mayor. It started long before, even long before even, let's say, when I was deputy mayor, I wanted to ensure, because I was part of the chairman of the investment committee, I needed to know what properties we have, what we could have, make available for public-private partnerships and so on and so forth, and how we could find ways and means of how we could incentivize or make better economic arrangements of those properties and other idle assets that we have. And so I would have done the research on a number of things. I would have asked for leases, what we've leased out and what we've put in place. And when I was able to ask for those things, one of the leases show that we leased a property right there. Outside of other properties that we leased, I've gotten a number of those different things, and one of those properties were leased there because of a space that was left back based on the other grounds that had properties there. And that property was leased to Mr. Jerry Gavaya, Roraima Airway, for him to have the helipad.
Yeah, I used to see
right?
something.
And that was leased from the city council, and it wasn't no ordinary lease. It was leased as based on the transport and the lease that came off the transport. So it was a very strong lease. It's a 75 years lease. And that's one document I have. I ain't gonna tell you the rest, but I'm giving you that because that is familiar to everyone here, and to have a greater understanding of what is there. And the other properties, like I said, were all properties gifted by the Hawks family for Wiscala purpose, for walking and recreational purposes. And for that to even change, usually I've been in the business of property business for many years, so I know the business of if you need to change this, if it was for this purpose, you just gotta go to the High Court and ask them to do this, and you have to go up, have a petition to speak to those things, to change those things. And because it's public property, it has to be for another public purpose. If you're building a road, it could be done. If you're building whatever else, it could be done. But you can't say the hotel is not public. It's not a public investment. It's a private investment for profits. So it's a whole host of things. Plus, I'm saying to you too that we have to take into consideration the sea defense. They have to have certain studies that ought to have been done, EPA, environmental, and other studies to show the impact of.
So, are you stopping the building of the hotel?
No, I am. Like I said to the.
It's held up at the moment.
No, it's there. We are treating with it from a standpoint of. I'm not here, or as an anti-investment person. I you know where I come from. I've come from.
Yeah, you come from the private sector.
From the private sector, the business class, but I'm a very locally oriented person who, never make people feel that they're far away from me. I talk to anybody. I do anything with everybody. I'm glad if I could then a short pants right now because that's what I like to do. So the fact of the matter is that I'm not there about that. I want the government to come to us to the table. I would like, just like how we have these issues currently in the air about Venezuela and Guyana and dispute and so on. So it is a disputed property. We need to sit down and work out ways and means. We need to sit down and come up with plans that is workable to both the city and both to the government, and us to figure out what we could do with these properties, how we could have those. I'm not too concerned, but just rates and tax, because if I sit down and wait for rates and tax, I don't think enough people who don't pay my rates and tax. Why should I sit down and wait for rates and tax for that? I am saying we have disputed issues. We'll sit down and figure out what we get out of it, what is our role, what's your role, and how we will be able to use those monies for the development of our age.
Is it in front of the court? Is it in front of the court?
Not yet.
How has the developers responded?
Well, we have just written to them.
And they have not responded as yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
But so, you're telling them in this correspondence,
yes.
I don't want you to diverge, you're saying that you're on property owned by the city council?
Yes. I have that.
And what kind of documents this hotel developers have so far? At least from the central government?
Well, I heard that there's some lease. I haven't literally seen it just yet. I'm saying that we are the transported owners of the property. I have the transport to prove that. They've been constant.
But I heard on the news that the central government owned the property since 1966.
Man, these are all claims. You know what? The city council came into being long before government ever come into being. And the city council have owned properties in the 1800s and whatever hundreds when it was under
whatever hundreds.
So the government came into being in 1966, and then enact a set of thing and put, I always call it the Guyana Land Reserve. That became a commission formed by whoever. And I don't know if everything was vested to them to deal with whoever, but we have properties that were passed down to us from since I was a child. That's not, this thing got nothing to do with when some government come into place. These properties are vested into based on them English system. We have properties in the mayor and city council. Plenty properties that we have.
If the Qatari investors proceed, what are you going to do? If they start a bill, what are you going to do? You'll cross that bridge when you come to it?
Yes, we'll get advice from our church.
They haven't been building, is it?
I see people dropping mud and doing different things, but I noticed there's a major canal being done there, so people dropping the mud from there into there. I can understand the build-up of the thing, but twist it or turn it, the plan still got to come to the main city council. The plan still got to come through central housing and also to the main city council. And we also have a right to object or to determine what we want to do. So it still have to reach us at some point. There's a number of things that are happening at this particular time. The issue is very fluid, and I am saying that I would assume good sense should prevail, and we should have some kind of a quid pro quo that makes sense between government and us.
Are there more properties that are controversially canopied, like the one you're talking about, the Qatari? Are there more?
Yeah, there's another one that I've been looking at. I don't want to disclose the issues surrounding it because I'm currently doing some research. And when I have that information...
It involves another hotel?
No, there's not a hotel. Well, it didn't involve a hotel. It involved a hotel, but not to build a hotel. So I can let you know.
And this is proceeding on what you consider city council property?
City council property. That was done by orders and a whole host of things.
And as a businessman and as a high-level politician, you have the papers to...
I have Kagash.
Kagash, you have Kagash. Or Papel.
Yeah.
Right. And what stage is that at the moment?
I am almost 75% certain about what I'm doing with that particular issue, and that issue will be raised within another few weeks.
It's a your opponent or your, want of a better word, is a very powerful person, financially, politically.
Yeah, it's government.
Oh, it's government.
Yes.
Oh. Okay. Elections coming up this year. You're running for higher office.
For what, central government?
Maybe. They're looking for consensus candidates and so on for APNU, AFC. If you were asked,
I will be invited at some point.
If you were asked, would you run as the head of the ticket for as a consensus candidate?
I'm interested in them kind of thing. I'm a team man. I support my team. I work with my leaders, and they will know exactly where they feel I'm best suited and best fit.
Well, if that's the best fit.
When you guys were in AFC, you worked together?
I know Craig a long time. I am not one of those,
But I said on this program, for the time I know you, you have a personality that would be easy to work out diplomatic solutions with. I can't understand why you and the government have not really come, because
but you're right.
I can speak about you. You have never appeared to me to be a combative, confrontationist
from
person.
Time I will let them know and understand where I stand on matters, but I always, because of the nature of where I come from, understanding the business perspective, but the political environment in which I function, I know which buzzer to press and which scenario to deal with. So I've always allowed for open dialogue and to find again workable solutions to be able to bring, the best fit to the situation. That's what I usually think, or maybe I'm wired like that.
How much of your work is influenced by Congress, please?
None of it, actually.
The councils don't receive directives?
The leader and others don't speak. Because, like I said, most of the stuff I do are so fluid that you got to make decisions on the spot, deal with. I don't have, the leader don't call me or text me or influence anything that I do. I found him to be not a laissez-faire person particularly, but as one that don't want to micromanage. He's not a micromanager of what I do and how I do it. If there are areas that
not just you, but the council, or the councillors who are members.
Even if they're members or whatever, remember, at the end of the day, I'm the lead person who speak on behalf of the council or as the mayor, and I have not been guided by him in any way as to how he expects me to do this or expect.
Our laws wouldn't allow it, but how do you feel about an executive mayor? Somewhat like the mayor of New York City.
I believe that is something that should have happened at least. I spoke to the previous Minister Bulkan, about this. I even spoke to him too about this issue where they have these meetings every year to determine who's the mayor. The mayor should be
directly elected by the people.
No, directly elected. He's elected, even if it's by the councillors. It should be for the term,
for the entire
term of the office. You shouldn't have every year you got to come like you're walking upon eggshells, dealing with issues. And I think he was working towards doing that, but then there was government change. I see the current government themselves did not accede to that kind of thing. They allowed for whatever, but again, they should have gone to the parliament and changed the laws to allow for mayors or whoever be elected, whatever. And then if there's any change or people want to have internal change, the law provides for you for a confidence position if you have to change or you want to recommend somebody change. But I agree with you that even if they had to have an executive mayor, they should, at least the Georgetown mayor should have been there, because it's the biggest playing field or the biggest place in which sort of thing should happen. And at least that should have been a consideration, and to be one of those things where you have like a pilot. And then you decide how you want to have the areas done.
Do you think Georgetown should be cut out from Region 4 and be a region by itself? Like some big cities around the world, Berlin, I think New York, some of those cities are autonomous.
Yeah, I've never put thought to that as to how we should look at it from that standpoint. But it's something that should be considered. But again, even though you want to do that, only recently we've had talks with the King's Foundation, who were also talking about Georgetown and then the Greater Georgetown aspect, and the other Greater Georgetown, the East Coast, Greater Georgetown, East Bank. So while these different things are happening, there are always other talks and other views. And for those things to be done, it has to be done from a legislative and a national standpoint. So, but I've never had put enough thought to it, and enough thought as to how it should be separated from Region 4.
There is a European-born Guyanese who established himself in the UK as a well-known BBC journalist, and he visits Guyana twice each year. We interviewed him, Craig, and his name is John Mayer, and I think you probably would know him. Also, Bill Cotton, aka John Mayer, Mair, also known as Bill Cotton. He said that with the oil economy, seaside property have made some people stupendously rich. Yeah. You collecting taxes from those properties? Because if you do,
the seaside along here.
Yeah. He said if you do, and Georgetown ends at Agricola. So he's talking about all going
from there, coming back here.
That's an enormous amount of money.
Like I tell you again, I am working with my team and the council to deal with, and maybe what I may have to do, and now that I'm thinking aloud here, is outside of the administrative people that I have within the system to help. I know from time to time we've outsourced a number of things or a number of studies And maybe that is something we'll have to outsource so you could get a better understanding of it and a faster understanding of it, because we are losing money by the minute based on like you said, based on the value of those properties that were sold for and the value that the rates and taxes gone up to be based on the pure nature of what is being built there. So again, I'm working and my hands are tied. The fact of the matter is I still need the support of the valuation division, because we can't value the property and also charge our rates. The valuation division guys still do their job to allow us to be able to input that valuation against our rates to give us the exact demand that the people have to pay.
I don't think Craig knows this. Maybe because of his age, but he just know you represented Guyana in cricket. Did you know that?
I've never read of the name mentor in cricket circles.
So you insulting a man or what?
No, I'm just saying I never heard, and you've already said that you don't think I know. So
right. You know this man represented this country in cricket?
Really?
I was Guyana under 19 opening batsman in my days. But I still, do a little thing. I have a little boy too who also plays. So, it's something. They say the apple don't fall far from the tree.
So he might
do better than me.
He may enter cricket then.
Yeah. He's involved.
He's involved already.
Yeah.
So you see,
and he goes by mentor.
Yeah.
So when
must follow the name.
So when I open the papers and see mentor,
what age is he?
16.
So he played on the 15 recently.
Played for Ghana.
Yeah. On the 15 recently.
Yeah.
So the chip don't fall too far from the block.
Yeah.
Before you go, our way to say we have a couple of seconds. You want to be bold. The council said if they don't pay, we will publish the names. You want to pronounce a couple names or not paying rates and tax right here before we go?
No, I like I said,
call a couple, about 5 of them. They're not paying you.
No.
Why are you protecting them?
I make decisions based on council. I make recommendations based on committees. We just had a meeting this morning where we asked the Treasury Department, to provide all the names. And then we're going to also provide those names above a certain amount. And with the intention of having conversation. With the intention of having conversation. But we might just make a decision of the full council when we handed that information to publish the name. So it's not going to be mentor say.
Oh, but we give you free publicity.
The council say.
We give you, please provide us with the list.
Yes.
And on our Friday calling program, we showed big on the screen.
Very well.
We got to go.
Yes.
Alfred Mentor, it's always nice talking to you. I've known you long before you decide to enter politics. And then when you were in the AFC, the AFC lost a good guy in you.
No, I was never the AFC. My attorney was with the AFC, which is Raphael Trotman. But I've always been a PNC member for way back.
Well, I should see you around the AFC during 2015 election.
I've always
during 2015 election.
He has always been a good friend.
I've always been a good friend. Because like I said, Trotman was my attorney, and I had a number of other friends in Craig and Carrington.
The PNC looking for a new face leader. Isn't it?
When the time comes, we'll
nice talking to you.
Yes.
Certainly.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks for being with us this Monday evening. Our guest was His Worship, the Lord Mayor of Georgetown, Mr. Alfred Mentor. Thanks for being with us. We will see you on Wednesday. Catch you later. Bye-bye.
Cheers, man.